I don't know when Drake came out. I can't remember. I'm old.
Drake. Oh,
Yeah, Drake.
2007?
I can't remember when Drake came out. Was it 2007? Shit.
Remember
I feel like it was early. Why do I feel like it's earlier than that?
maybe early 2005.
Like I think it's 06. I'm not sure. All I know was back then United was winning Premier League titles. So
Hey, still might happen,
that
man.
could happen this year. Who knows?
Where this league's going.
But nah, I shouldn't out Drake like that. That's terrible of me. But we want to talk about men in general, and how men share their emotions and things of that nature. I'm gonna do a little anecdote, and then I'm gonna let Raph speak on it. When I was a kid, coming up in Brooklyn and stuff, and being around a lot of violence and a lot of domestic abuse, drug users, things of that nature. As a man, you don't really get the option to be soft, in terms of you don't get the option. You got to be tough from day one. Like even as a kid, because all the other kids act tough, and then you got to be tough too, because you don't want to get bullied or beat up. And bullying nowadays, see, I don't want to knock bullying nowadays. I'm sure it is a big problem, but bullying nowadays versus what bullying was in the 90s, like early 90s, when I was a kid, y'all, it's soft these days, bro. Listen, when I was a kid, bullying actually ended with you getting your ass beat. Like nowadays, it's on the internet. Like people just getting at you. You can turn that shit off. You can turn off an ass whooping unless you couldn't run this. You got to run faster than them other dudes. My mom used to say to me, and this is like to the thing. My mom used to say to me like, "You better never come here running home from nobody, because if you run in here and I know you run from somebody, I'm gonna kick your ass." So it's like now you're afraid to even run to your house because you're like, I gotta be tough out in these streets. Because I go home and my mom is like, "Who you running from?" I'm like, nobody. And she look outside, she sees some kids waiting for me or trying to see where I went. She's like, "Why are you running from people?" And it's almost imprinted and embedded in you to be tough. You gotta be tough. You gotta be tough. And the reason why you gotta be tough as a male, in those situations, also as females in those situations, but just specifically talking about men, the reason why you gotta be tough is because there's no time for sentiment. There's no time for it's gonna be okay. There's no time for crying. You just have to be straight out the womb, boom, that's a man. And that's just the end of it. And it makes you cold. The environment that I grew up in, at least, it makes you cold. It makes you very cerebral. It makes you very calculating against your fellow person that's around you. It also imprints in you a level of jealousy. A lot of people don't want to admit that, but it will, because you'll see somebody else winning or doing something, and because you can't be a part of it, you hate that person. You become a product of that environment, and you become hardened to a lot of things. I remember when I lost people, my family, you don't even want to cry almost, because you're just like, shit, like I don't want to see weakness. I don't want to show signs of weakness. People will look at me like, "Oh, what's he crying?" He's crying. Oh my God, And a lot of people be sitting there thinking, "Oh, nah, but that's stupid." You say that until you live in the environment. And the environment is tough, and it's cold, and it's calculating, and everybody in there is just trying to get one leg up on the next person, and just take advantage of people, what have you. And that makes you think, I can't have emotion. I can't be soft. I can't cry. I can't feel bad. I gotta strap it on every morning and get on with it. Obviously, as I've grown older, I'm not that person at all. I'm a very affectionate person. I hug everybody. Like I got mad love for people. I had to outgrow that person because I was taught for a long time that showing emotion was a weakness. So I had to outgrow that person. And it was hard because you didn't know who was really for you and who really wasn't for you. and how you would kind of like adjust that. I remember, even me and Rap sitting here now, there was times where we'd have arguments or, what have you. And that came from a place of like, I can't be soft. I can't let dudes talk to me any kind of way, and that's still, I still believe that you shouldn't let anybody talk to you any kind of way, but now everything's a fight. You ain't got to prove anything to nobody. And I think that became the growth. Like, oh shit, like these guys don't want my neck. These guys just want to be my friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that was an adjustment for me, because at the time it was like everybody's coming for my neck. Like everybody wants to take from me. Everybody wants to be better than me. So I have to be tough and I have to be strong and and you do have to be those things. Don't get it wrong, but it's just how you portray those things is important. So, that's my I guess story with dealing with emotions, as a man, because it was hard at first because I just didn't I was taught a different way. I was taught I can't show emotion, I can't be weak. What's your take on how that stuff unravels within us?
I think with society, it's broader. So like your particular situation, I think that's like you have to be like really, really strong. But I feel like in society in general, I feel like still to this day, especially our generation anyway, you're not allowed to be seen to be weak. Although people say that having emotion as a man is a good thing, when it really comes down to it, like we said, like obviously like Drake, and you had like Matt Hancock crying on the TV. Like people see that as funny, but then when it's a woman, it's seen as like
it's sad.
It's sad. Like, do you know what I mean? Like she's feeling the emotions of like how it is. But when the guy does it, it's like, what's his agenda, or like why is he not like manning up or whatever it is. So for me, I didn't really like grow up in that sort of environment, but society, I would say it's had an effect on me in the sense that stuff that I really should be a bit more emotional to, I'm not as emotional.
Yeah, cold to.
Do you know what I mean? So if Richard and I are like watching something and it is sad, she'll be upset, and I'll just be like, yeah, that's sad. Do you know what I mean? I know it's sad, but I'm not.
Yeah, you'll say it, but you don't acknowledge it.
Yeah, I don't like have it like as an expression. So that's why I feel like there's like a major gap between women and men. And there's times where I like jokingly say like to Rachel, like why are you crying about that? But then really in truth, like why aren't I?
Yeah,
like why aren't I crying about that? Maybe that's what I should be saying. So I think it's I just think it's like an interesting thing how even still to this day men aren't allowed to be emotional, and if they are emotional, it seems to be like a big thing.
I think even it's like, again, play the tough guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to prove I'm tough. Listen, there's an old saying back in America is test my gangster. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to prove like nothing to nobody. I gotta fight nobody. Like, I don't need to do none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't walk around here acting like a tough guy. But I'm also not the type of guy where you can just steal off on and act like as if though I'm insignificant in that situation. Like, and I think Drake said it the best, because I show emotion don't mean I'm a pussy. You know what I'm saying? And although that can kind of be, now I say it can kind of be misconstrued, kind of sexist, but that's not the point. You know what he's trying to say. Yeah. And why I quoted it. I think that we have to get to a place, because I don't want, and the reason why I say is I'm not going to raise my sons the way the way that I was necessarily taught. Obviously, there's values that I take from that, but I don't want my sons to be cold like that. I want my sons to feel for people and have that sympathy or empathy for people and for situations. I think when you grow up in a tough environment, you have no choice. When you grow up in like an easier environment, like they say, It's harder to get out of bed when you're wearing silk pajamas, you know, and you got the 5,000 thread count sheet Egyptian cotton shit. You know, it's harder to get out your bed. And I think that goes to the fact that we come from a certain era. Our kids will come from a certain era, and they're going to be allowed from an emotional standpoint. They're going to be allowed from like a human standpoint to be more emotional because of what we create.
Do you think though that, and so this is the flip side, where you talk about like bullying and online bullying and all that sort of stuff, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but do you think
Sure.
we're now in a place where there's two spectrums? Like it's like back in the day where like it's like, don't cry. Like remember when parents used to say like, why are you crying
something else to cry for? Some
shit. And they're beating you. Do you know what I mean? Like what? Like
that makes you want something else to cry for? You'd be like, I'm already crying. What are you gonna do to me?
Yeah, like you're beating me. Like, what do you like? Do you mean?
Yeah, like,
we're going from like there to like now.
Yeah.
If you even say like, say for instance, like we talk about COVID, the rules talk about COVID, right? But if we're standing in the line and I say to you, "Why are you so close to me?" People are like, "Why are you getting so aggressive?" Like, well, I'm not. Like, I'm just saying a statement. Do you know what I mean? Like that side where people are offended by everything. Do you know what I mean? They're just offended. Like if you tell them like, nah, like 2 + 2 is not 5, they'll get offended.
No, there's definitely those who are a little bit too sensitive. Don't get me wrong. There are people out there who are too touchy, and that can be a detriment to you also. I think you have to be very careful about being a touchy individual, because the wrong thing might get you punched in the face. I just want to put that out.
We don't mean R. Kelly. We mean...
Yeah, no, not that type of touchy. We'll cover that in a different video. You don't want to... I think to be serious on it, I think we said this before, and I think it's about being mindful about your environment, the people you're around. I think you got to know how to move in certain circles. As a man, I think especially black men. Yeah, let's go there. Especially black men. We can't be. We're always seen as the aggressor. We can never be soft. We can never be the nice guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just the way that is. It's the way society has painted us. So we don't have a choice. We're born into aggressive nature. Obviously, it doesn't help when there's a bunch of, young black kids on the street with the hoods up and the pants hanging off their ass, and it's like 10 of them and one white woman walking down the street. Obviously, she's gonna feel some level of, there's a word for it. I can't. I'm going up here. She's gonna feel some level of trepidation, and she's definitely gonna feel threatened. Yeah, she's gonna feel threatened in that situation. Now, we might all be saying there's no reason for her to do that, but we have to paint the picture. And the larger picture is, but look at what she's walking into. You know what I'm saying? Like, she doesn't know what's gonna happen, and she might not be racist either. I mean, I seen a bunch of black kids all hooded up, pants hanging off their ass, looking aggressive as fuck. Yeah. I'm not saying I've crossed the street because I ain't scared of nothing, but at the same time, I'm on my P's and Q's. Yeah, like I'll be like, let me get ready just in case they pop off on me. Like I'm ready to start throwing hands. But it's that mentality. I'm never too far from the block, and that's something that I've had to learn how to try and quell a little bit, because I'm never too far from the block. Like, I'm never too far from getting ready to throw hands. And I don't mean that in the sense of I get into a lot of shit or I get into arguments, whatever. But in every situation, and it's not an aggression thing, because I don't show aggression to people. It's just like in my mind, I have to kind of lock that guy away in a box, because that guy is always ready to throw hands. That guy is always ready to fight somebody if the situation calls for it. And I don't want to be that guy, because that guy's also emotional. Because when we really deep it, it's exposing who I really am, in a sense. So if that person comes out, the person that I'm being, people say, oh, you're being too sensitive, you're being this. No, I'm hurt. So that's a hurt person.
Yeah.
And that hurt person only comes out when he feels like somebody's pressing that button. And I have to like lock that guy away, because it's not that deep, right? But we all suffer I think we all suffer, especially black men, we all suffer from a PTSD of not understanding our emotions, as well as, and then, like, you know, we could draw parallels to like our fathers, our mothers to a degree, because if for most of us we were raised in single parent household, and you get more of an emotional side from your mom than you do your father, or whatever the case may be. You know, the times I was around my pops, rest in peace to him. I'm not gonna say he was tough, like it was, but he wasn't soft. Like my dad was a thorough dude, like he wasn't a soft dude. So I got a lot of like, don't cry from him. You know what I'm saying? Don't be. And my mom also was a very tough woman. So I also got a lot of like, hey, toughen up from her. So I didn't really have a medium. And then like, obviously both my parents have passed. And I moved here to England with my aunt, and my aunt is very sensitive, like very, very sensitive. So it was a culture shock because I came from two people who were extremely tough people, not in the sense of like they didn't have emotions or they weren't sensitive people, but they loved you to death. But the environment they grew up in was so tough, they took on that environment. They couldn't be weak outside. And I learned that from them. So when I got here, I had to learn how to deal with my emotions. And when you draw those parallels, especially for me as a man now and being a grown up, I realized like a lot of the shit that I was lacking in when as a young man, you know, even up to my mid-20s, it was like, yo, like I realized that I'm battling myself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to stop myself from feeling, but at the same time I'm feeling. I'm trying to stop myself from crying, but at the same time I'm feeling the tears well up. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I'm battling myself. And I had to ask myself at one point, if I'm gonna be real, if I'm gonna be thorough, if I'm gonna be that guy, then none of this shit should matter. Whether I cry, whether I feel bad, whether I feel great, whatever, none of this shit should matter because it's the content of my character that's important.
I feel like a lot of people,
and that's what told me I don't have to go out in the street and be that guy. Go ahead, sorry.
A lot of people, this is like the last thing I'll say on this, but a lot of men don't talk. So, you know, I feel like sometimes the reason why women are so close to their emotions, or like in touch with their emotions, so I say not close, because I feel like if you're angry, that's an emotion. So, do you know what I'm saying? So, but I feel like sometimes 100%. Men aren't as close to their emotions because we don't talk with men about emotions. We might talk about
real shit,
other stuff, right? And there's loads of podcasts out there where they talk about other people's emotions and other people's situations, but they don't talk about them.
Other people's actions and what they've done.
Yeah, but they don't talk about them, like how do they feel inside? Do you know what I mean? Like, are they anxious or sad or whatever?
And it shows. It shows because there's a lot of times where you can tell how a dude reacts to something. And if you can tell when a dude reacts to something, that means we all know that feeling, which means we all felt that before. But me and you having this conversation, there's a lot of growth. I mean, I've had conversations with dudes recently where I'm like, oh shit, like I didn't expect him to really be on this type of conversation because of the content of his character. I expected him to kind of sweep that under the rug. So there is a lot of growth. You know what I'm saying? I think for me, I just want to kind of just pierce through all the bullshit and tell men in general, like, you got to find a way to find that balance because it mentally fucks with you when you don't have that balance. Because what you go through on a daily basis, I'm not telling dudes to be out here boohooing in tissues and all that type of stuff. I'm not saying that. But there's a lot of pent up aggression and anger in the fact that you don't talk about it or in the fact that you don't acknowledge those feelings. And that can manifest itself in evil ways. A lot of people look at things like domestic violence and think that that's just because the dude is evil. Sometimes, if not 50% of the time, probably, it's some dudes are evil, and then some dudes don't know how to have misplaced anger. And they don't know how to deal with that. And unfortunately, it manifests itself in a violent way towards people that they probably don't really want to harm, but they don't know how to control that person.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to say, and the last thing I'll say on this is, understand that it's okay to, as a man, understand that it's okay for you to acknowledge your mental health. Like, let's stop all the bullshit. Let's stop saying I'm good. Let's stop doing all that. acknowledge the fact that we all go through things, and as a man, it's okay to acknowledge. It's perfectly fine to acknowledge your mental health and take care of your mental health. Don't brush over those things, because that's very important. Because as men, being the pillars of our family, we can't be seen to be weak and all that type of stuff. But at the same time, if you don't take care of your mental health, you are weak. So this is Birdlines. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell to know when we post. Share, get in the comments. And just remember that no matter what happens, we're all human beings at the end. So it takes nothing to have a conversation.